Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into something that, well, literally dictates every single minute of your day. We're talking about the architecture of your modern mental well-being. Think of it like a towering skyscraper, right? Before you can go up and admire the view from the penthouse, you really have to trust that steel framework holding the whole thing up. And that invisible, foundational structure, that's our mental health.
So, here's the million-dollar question for you. Is your mental foundation actually built to withstand the modern world? Because let's be honest, we are processing an absolutely unprecedented volume of information, demands, and social pressures every single day. And if our internal structure isn't reinforced, those modern tremors, they're going to cause some serious cracks.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the modern mental foundation. Then, pressures of today's era. Third, mind, focus, and productivity. Fourth, health and human connection. And finally, building a healthier future.
Section 1. The modern mental foundation, or the invisible architecture of our lives. You know, it's really easy to just brush off mental health as a corporate buzzword, but we absolutely need to view it as the crucial load-bearing framework that holds our daily lives together.
So what does this heavy lifting actually look like in practice? Well, a strong internal foundation is exactly what helps us think clearly when the world around us is just chaotic. It's what allows us to manage our complex emotions instead of being hijacked by them. Ultimately, it's the core operating system that equips us to handle life's inevitable challenges, build those healthy relationships, and really just navigate our day-to-day.
Moving to Section 2, Pressures of Today's Era, the Earthquakes Testing Our Foundation. Look, if our mental health is the architecture, the modern world is essentially a non-stop earthquake. In our hyper-connected era, things like anxiety, depression, and loneliness are rising across literally all age groups.
And these modern pressures, they are everywhere. We're battling undeniably higher stress levels from work, from school, financial strain, and honestly, just the heavy weight of global events. Throw in the impact of social media, and wrap the whole shebang in a super fast-paced lifestyle where simply finding balance feels like a full-time job. It's a lot.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the mechanics of social media. It isn't just about opening an app, it's the entire environment it creates. Constant comparison to curated lives, cyberbullying, excessive screen time, these things act as direct catalysts. They subtly but constantly erode our self-esteem and just drive our anxiety and depression right up.
And you know, these pressures just compound relentlessly. Think about a typical fast-paced day. You wake up, right to social media, and instant comparison. By noon, the weight of work, school, and financial pressure hits high gear. And by nightfall, this daily struggle culminates in cumulative burnout and sleep disorders. It's a relentless cycle that tests our limits from sunrise until way after sunset.
Section 3. Mind, focus, and productivity. The structural integrity of success. We've talked about the earthquakes, but let's pivot for a second. What happens when the architecture is strong and intact? Well, supporting our mental foundation unlocks some absolutely massive rewards for our daily productivity.
Check out how these well-being benefits map directly to real-world outcomes. When you have enhanced focus and creativity, that translates directly to sharper, better decision-making. Finding a real sense of purpose actually drives higher overall success in this highly connected world. And when your coping abilities are strong, you genuinely get to experience an enhanced quality of life. You actually get to enjoy the life you're working so hard to build.
Okay, Section 4, Health and Human Connection. Interconnected systems relying on the foundation. Mental well-being definitely doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it absolutely does not just stay in your head. It is a deeply interconnected system that directly dictates your physical body and how you connect with humanity.
It's a pretty fascinating dynamic. On one hand, good emotional stability empowers us to communicate effectively and build really strong professional and personal relationships. But on the other hand, we see that poor mental health actively manifests physically. It literally increases the risk of heart disease, weakens our immunity, and fuels debilitating sleep disorders.
Which brings us to this absolutely undeniable truth, straight from the source. Mental health is just as important as physical health. We simply cannot separate the mind from the body. In today's hyper-connected world, keeping up with mental maintenance isn't a luxury. It's a fundamental requirement for a functional life.
Finally, Section 5. Building a healthier future and fortifying your mind. Knowing the incredibly high stakes for our physical health and our success, the big question is, how do we actually repair and strengthen our mental foundation in such a fast-changing world?
Well, we have 3 essential, highly actionable steps. First, we need to promote awareness by openly acknowledging these modern pressures. Second, we have to actively reduce the stigma so people actually feel safe speaking up. And third, we absolutely must normalize seeking professional help when it's needed. Doing these things doesn't just improve individual lives, it dramatically transforms families, workplaces, and entire communities.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If your mental health truly is the invisible architecture of your life, what step will you take today to fortify it? Are you going to cut back on screen time, maybe reach out for some help, or, simply give yourself a little bit of grace? Whatever you choose, just remember that strengthening your mind is absolutely the most important building project you will ever undertake. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep building, and please, take care of your foundation.